Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by TheLines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we've got player props here on a Friday to close the work week with every single team in the NBA has a game tonight here in the NBA on Friday. 15 games to choose from. We also have 10 teams on the second night of the back-to-back. What's that worth? I don't really think that matters, to be honest, because everybody who needs to win is going to be trying to win and playing all their guys full minutes. So not really worried about the back-to-backs at this point in the season, but definitely want to make sure you are subscribed to that channel. We've got player props here, best bets with looks at sides and totals, and another episode for you, and bringing both of those to you each and every weekday. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Don't miss a beat with us as we head into the postseason here next week. Also want to make sure that you are checking out the newsletter. In the link of the description of this video, in the description of this video is a link that takes you right to the email newsletter, which is out today, coming out every Friday, and has everything you need to know about the update from the week here in sports betting, as well as a look ahead to the weekend and next week as well. So that really helps, as well as that bonus parlay that Nate and I have. That should help you as well in terms of winning some plus money heaters. We got a nice one for you today in there, so definitely need to check out the newsletter to make sure you're getting that bonus parlay from us. But let's go ahead and jump right into your first play a prop here for Friday, Nate.
Yeah, looking at Christian Brown with the new look Nuggets here. Over 16.5 points or 22.5 points and rebounds. Both are priced really well at FanDuel. You can consider Jalen Pickett over 9.5 points as well here, because the cap is partially that just Westbrook is banished now under the new regime, which is Jokic player coach / Adelman is the coach in name here. Jamal Murray is still going to be out. And Braun, if you look at 7 games where Russ did not play this year, averages 28 and 4, plays 38 minutes per game, despite much worse 3-point volume, 3-point percentage, 29% versus 42%. It's because he's filling those gaps as a cutter, right? He's benefiting off Jokic and just being a superior cutter to Russ. 68% on volume twos in those 7 games. And you look at his last 7 where he's gone over his points prop 7 straight. He's 67% on drives. He's 43% as a catch and shoot guy. Russ is 28% on those splits. So not a big surprise that gets you fired then, I guess, Mike Malone, if you utterly refuse to bench the guy who's getting outplayed by younger guards. It is a changing of the guard here. And in these last 7, Brown has a 138 offensive rating. He's playing nearly the whole damn game, 39 minutes, and he's a plus 73. So going up against Memphis, which is now on a back-to-back, which is reeling, definitely defensively very exploitable. Guards are hitting at about an 80% rate on the points or points rebounds against Memphis in their last 10. The pace is still up. It went back up here after going down a little bit under the new coach, and they allow the 8th most defensive rebounds per game because of that pace under the new coach Isolo. So should be plenty of opportunities if you want to add the boards here. Brown has been boarding up. The points for him and Pickett should be pretty reliable here as just like spot up and slashers.
Wow, yeah. This stuff's getting high for him too, honestly. It's going up. So I think people are seeing what you're seeing, but I guess the secret's out that if you want to bet on Christian Brown, oftentimes you'll find some good value against teams that play in a fast pace. And that seems to be the case. He's at about 17.5 points per game in the games this season where he's played teams that were in the top 10 in pace at the time. So nice little filter that helps you see some of these little insights for guys like CB, who it makes sense, especially when the other, transition guy, the fast break guy in Westbrook is starting to see his minutes dwindle a bit. I was really surprised. He only played 17 minutes in that last game when they were missing everybody, but maybe that's going to be what we see now in the playoffs is we're going to have to sacrifice Russ's positive things to avoid the negative things that he does in the playoffs when it's just not okay to turn the ball over like that as might be in game 47 of the regular season. But I'm going to Booker. I don't care anymore, and neither does Booker. He's on what we're calling the F It Tour, Nate, right? Is it not an F It Tour? Big time, right? And what's awesome is that he just played the Warriors and the Thunder 2 games in a row and was still getting big minutes. He just lost by 38 points to the Dubs, so he only played 30 minutes. And against the Thunder, he played 38 minutes, but he was also playing against a team that is tailor-made for limiting this stuff, right? Like that's the number one defense for stopping Devin Booker and what he wants to do, especially if you're Devin Booker without any help, including Brad Beal. I'm putting him up there as a lack of help after he's had 1 point 2 games ago. So yeah, I'm going to just go right back to Book. He's still at damn near 30 shots. He just couldn't get them all off in 30 minutes against the Dubs, and he could barely get them off against the Thunder in general because of that defense. But now we're right back to what he's been doing. You look at the games prior to that, he's back up against the Spurs here. This is the exact defense that he was facing when he was just on his little tear for 3 games before. Excuse me, not the exact defense. His little tear started a lot more so against like the Bucks, Celtics, Knicks. But prior to that, even against like the Nuggets, the Jazz, had a couple games against like the Pelicans in his last roughly like 10 to 15 games without KD, especially. That's what we're talking about here. KD goes down. Now we take 29 to 30 shots. And like I said, it just wasn't a good spot for him against the Dubs and the Thunder. Even the defenses that he played here, including the Celtics and the Rockets, where he went for like 28 plus in these games. Those two teams, as good as those defenses are not actually, they're good at limiting assists. They're good at limiting team offense, but they'll allow one guy to do their thing and just go one-on-one with the other team's, best defender. And Booker's good enough to score. Well, now we're just back to the Spurs, who have nothing. They don't have Sohan. They don't have Keldon Johnson. Who's guarding Devin Booker? Stephon Castle. He's going to get switched. Chris Paul switched on to him a couple of times. If CP is probably playing close to 30 minutes. This Spurs defense that is already bottom 5 is just as bad as it's been, right? There's nothing to really tell you that they're going to be able to stop him in this one. So I just don't think they're going to stop the Effort tour just because he had 2 games where he hit 20 and 21 points. I still see him going for 30 plus tonight. I think you get really good value on 30 plus, and don't know why I would just stop at like over 24.5 points. I think he's in line for a really nice game again.
Yeah, it's up to 25.5 now, and still with the same juice because Beautiful. People are seeing that. They're like, as long as he's out there, like he's going to be a volume shooter. You can add 6 assists though at 32.5 points and assists and get a good price still. You still able to get 14 dimes when teams loaded right. One of those good defenses loaded up on him. Spurs are not a good defense by any means. I definitely agree with you that he's going to have his way. As long as he plays, and if not, you get the wager right back.
Yeah.
I'm going to go under Jimmy Butler. Going to go back to this, in the blowout theory that Jimmy's not going to do very much. Under 27.5 PRA is minus 114, and the Dubs are minus 14 again here after blowing it against the Spurs. They're going to come out, I think, kind of on a mission here to just slam a Portland team that should not be able to keep up when they've ruled out Simon. Scoot might also rule out Sharp. Obviously no Grant. Avdia's doubtful. So, the last time these teams met, Portland came along for the ride. It was 130-120. Avdia was immense. And Jimmy, had a triple-double. I think there was no Pods or Kuminga in that game, though. Both those guys are now going to be quite available. And Portland lately, as they've kind of shut it down a little bit more, have been extremely fast-paced, 104 pace in their last 5. And that's led to a lot of traditional point guards or pick-and-roll initiators getting dimes. The books are pricing that in by moving Jimmy's assist line down to just 4.5, being like, we see a lot of, like, we expect Steph to have a much better game on the dimes. Maybe Pajemski, I didn't see his lineup yet. But I would maybe go back to him, even though he let us down on the other night against the Spurs. I just think this will be more of an up-tempo game than we're expected to see with the Portland Trailblazers, and certainly than we saw recently. But then, there's the other theory that just like veteran, as soon as, basically you look at any of their huge blowouts recently, and Jimmy takes an early seat. He does not have a high usage rate. Last time, we knew they were going to blow out Phoenix. He went for 10, 2, and 3 in 20 minutes, only took 4 shots from the field. He's gone under this in 6 of his last 9 with 25.7 PRA. And basically the overs are the product of like heavy free throw rates, right? Where he's like, all right, things are going sideways a little bit, like against the Spurs last time out, 17 free throw attempts. So I got to take over a little bit. I just don't think they're going to have much trouble with the Portland Trailblazers here, with the shell of the Portland Trailblazers. Dubs are going to take care of business. Then they have the Clippers on Sunday, and Jimmy's going to probably save some energy there for what should be a huge game for both teams in terms of their seeding on Sunday.
Sunday's everything. Yeah. Sunday is going to be fun in the NBA for sure. And it's going to be because of the Western Conference, definitely not because of the Eastern Conference. But the Dubs are involved in all of that, right? All of these, 6 teams that we have here from 3 to 8 in the West. And this is one of those games that's not going to matter quite as much. So makes complete sense that Jimmy wouldn't necessarily expend all his effort. The only reason I ended up, I might still play some stuff in this game, but haven't really looked closely at what I want yet from this game is just because I was at that game against the Spurs and I'm basically have trauma now where I'm just like, how do I trust anything here? Like this should have been a 20-point blowout and it was damn near it, but at least there's nobody on, we're still going to be in trouble here. There's nobody on Portland that used to play on the Dubs the way that like Harrison Barnes did. So maybe there's no revenge available, I guess, but let's go to the final one here. I'm going to go back to that Clips and Kings game. One of the games we talked about in best bets that at least is reliable. At the same time, I got to put caveats on this bet. So I do like James Harden over 8.5 assists. I have not hit it yet because I don't know if Norm and Zoo are playing. And I really need Norm and Zoo to play to feel like really good about this. Because without Norm and Zoo, if he's playing, even if he's just playing like with Kawhi, he's at about 10.3 assists per 36 minutes when he's on the floor with Kawhi and without Zoo or Norm Powell. But he's at 12.8 assists per 36 when he's on the floor with Norm and Zoo. So that's a big reason for this. You look at the even in the games that he's played with them, 9.7 assists per game. The games he's played without them, 8.7 assists per game. Pretty obvious stark difference there where you have really good players around you, so you pass more. It makes pretty complete sense. But either way, like I might actually just go to his points as well. And if those two guys are out, I'll just go to Kawhi's points. I think we both briefly mentioned that in the other video as well. The Kings are horrible, limiting points to power forwards. That's with Keegan Murray or Trey Lyles. Keegan's still questionable, has missed the last 2 games. Trey Lyles been coming into the starting lineup. Probably a better defender. I don't know, different types of players, right? Like Lyle's better down low, Keegan Murray a little bit better on the perimeter. But either way, like would love Kawhi in those situations. But if those two guys play, Norm and Zoo, the assists for Harden are too hard to pass up. Sac is allowing the 6th most assists per game in their last 15. They're already in the bottom 10 on the season, and they have the 5th worst defensive rating in their last 15 games as well. And just as importantly, they are 8th worst limiting assists to point guards specifically. You look at Harden this season; he's played 2 games. He's played 3 games against the Kings. The first 2, he had no Kawhi and also had no Norm in one of those games. Went under with just about 12 potential assists in those 2 games. Still ended with 8 and 9 assists in those 2 games. But then you look at the one where he has both those guys in, and now we're talking about him at 12 dimes up against this team, right? And like 19 potential assists. And that's the huge part of this. The potential assists without those guys are at about 15 per game. The potential assists with those guys are at about 19 per game. That should be good for almost two more a game, right? When you have 4 extra potential assists, you expect about 50% of those to turn into regular assists. So yeah, it's the stark difference here between those two guys playing. If both of them are out, going right to Kawhi. If just one of them is out, I think we might still be able to get away with 8.5 assists in a really good matchup spot here against this poo-poo Kings defense.
Yeah, and if you want to get ahead of it, I think you could potentially just parlay the Clippers money line with a Harden combo, maybe a points assist combo that's below his core line, which is 33.5, and say like just 30 or 28 or just 8 assists, and then you're close to even money, and say kind of hedge a little bit if you think one of those guys will sit. I mean, it does make sense that his assists go down because it's just more playing time lately for like a Chris Dunn and a Ben Simmons, for other guys who can create, right? And it's not as much of like these defined roles of like Harden's get us organized, spray it out to the shooters, to the scorers, and use your pick and roll acumen to keep this offense rolling. But right. I mean, Clippers have been rolling either way, so I do like Harden to get close to his core line at least.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, if you're Harden and you look up and you have Ben Simmons standing on the 3-point line, or you can take a very contested 35-foot shot, I think you're probably going to take that 35 contested 3-pointer. So that's all the time we have for you in the Play of Props. Definitely make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the other episode we have up with best bets, some looks at sides and totals. And last reminder to hit up that description of the video for the link to the email newsletter so you get that bonus parlay pick from Nate and myself. It's all free, by the way. No one's trying to make money off the newsletter here. Just go ahead and hit that up if you want that free bonus parlay pick. So best of luck to everybody this weekend. And until we see you next week, happy betting.